welcome to the 28th edition of Marex Maritime News Bulletin. These are the headlines on Monday, 24th of August 2020. MASSA and FOSMA record 15,000 crew transfers in less than 3 months. OSM takeover of 37 KGJS ships to bring increased job opportunities to Indian seafarers. Singapore under fire for preventing crew changes. A national master plan by Indian government to provide multi-modal connectivity. NUSI seeks support from government to pursue various seafarer welfare measures. MOU for skill development in port and maritime sector signed. Synergy Group in tie-up with Norway's DS Norden. Amitabh Kumar and Malini Shankar recognized by the Nautical Institute. And now the news in detail. In the month of June, leading maritime bodies MASSA and FOSMA commenced the transport of Indian seafarers by chartered flights during the pandemic's lockdown phase, as Indian airports were then completely shut to schedule commercial flights. With the support of travel partner ATPI, between June 3rd and August 15th, over 15,000 Indian seafarers flew between India and Qatar on 66 MASSA FOSMA chartered flights, which enabled crew transfers across the globe.
With relief of seafarers and retaining Indian jobs being the primary focus, MASSA and FOSMA embarked on this journey of chartering of seafarers' flights in June, soon after the Directorate and the Ministry gave permission to charter such flights. 3rd of June was our first flight, a very humble beginning when we only had outbound seafarers. On 7th of June, we had the next flight in which we had outbound and inbound seafarers. And thereafter, we have had 66 flights, which culminated in, on 15th of August, we had our 15,000th seafarer, Indian seafarer, traveling on the charter flights. What we are very proud of, that we did not attempt to send one-way seafarers, but both ways, thus ensuring jobs are retained. And in these difficult times, when the economy is in trouble, retaining of jobs, we thought, was definitely more crucial than only moving seafarers one way. The entire exercise has been difficult, has been time-consuming, but at the same time, very, very satisfying. And we thank our seafarers, our companies, our members, and importantly, the Directorate General of Shipping for their support in our endeavors.
It is my pleasure to inform you that on 15th of August, FOSMA along with MASSA reached a milestone of ferrying 15,000 seafarers for carrying out crew change using charter flights. We would like to thank Director General of Shipping along with his office and the Ministry of Shipping for giving us this opportunity of chartering flights to carry out crew changes. This was a joint effort by FOSMA and MASSA along with the Director General of Shipping's office, where we first created the standard operating procedures and from June started the chartered flights. Once again, we thank our seafarers for all the effort that they have put in, for being patient, for being understanding, and we are glad that we are able to bring them back home.
Mumbai-based Marine Travel Services, ATPI India, hired Airbus aircrafts of an Indian private airline to operate the chartered flights between Mumbai and New Delhi and Doha.
It has been an incredible journey so far. 24/7 dedicated efforts put in by ATPI staff, Indigo Airlines and Qatar Airways has ensured 100% success in an extremely challenging environment. With Lord Almighty's grace, there has not been a single failure in the safe travel of over 15,000 seafarers. As skies now continue to open, more scheduled flights are becoming available. demand for private charters is tapering down. But surely, all of us at ADPI will continue to serve the larger purpose of safe transportation for our seafarers across the globe.
Norwegian ship owner OSM Maritime has taken over management responsibility for 37 vessels currently operated by KGJS. Since OSM is a prominent employer of Indian seafarers, this takeover opens up the possibility of greater job opportunities for Indian seafarers who have long distinguished themselves in the global seafaring sector.
First of all, let me thank all the seafarers for doing such a splendid job during this pandemic. This will be remembered always, and it will go down in the history as one of the most turbulent times. Further, for OSM India and Indian seafarer, there is a good news regarding OSM taking over the management responsibilities of 37 vessels operated by KGJS, Norway. We already have some seafarers from India, and we are looking forward to have more on these vessels. OSM India started operation on 5th of February, but unfortunately due to the lockdown, operations have slowed down. We have more than 500 vessels, and we are looking forward to having many more Indian seafarers on our vessels being operated by OSM. Thank you and all the best.
Ship Manager Association Intermanager has heavily criticized the port city of Singapore for introducing tougher quarantine and immigration policies that it claims prevent most owners and managers from repatriating seafarers and changing crews. The Maritime and Port Authority says Singapore continues to facilitate crew changes daily, but no changeover figures are being released.
Indian Maritime University, a central university under Ministry of Shipping, Government of India, offering various UG and PG courses in the maritime sector, UG programs in Marine Engineering, Nautical Science and Naval Architecture, PG, and research programs in Naval Architecture, Marine Engineering and Management. Campuses located in Chennai, Visakhapatnam, Kolkata, Mumbai and Kochi. For admissions and program details, please visit www.imu.edu.in.
A national master plan by the Indian government for providing multi-modal connectivity to various economic zones in the country has been launched. India's Prime Minister described it as an important endeavour that will boost productivity, infrastructure, economic progress and opportunities for youngsters.
Supply chain resilience is critical for economic stability. What can be historical, the trilateral STRI, that is, the Supply Chain Resilience Initiative between Japan, Australia and India, can be expanded to include 10 ASEAN countries. Resilient supply chains require robust logistics infrastructure. Multimodal logistics infrastructure can facilitate resilient, fast responding and competitive supply chains. The fact that the Honorable Prime Minister chaired the meeting to improve the multimodal connectivity between the manufacturing hubs is a point in case. Multimodal logistics is a force multiplier and it should be construed as a growth enterprise and not as a source of revenue. Hence, the business models for multimodal logistics infrastructure, be it government run or PPP, should be growth-oriented model focusing on seamless connectivity, digital portal-based services, innovation, and fast growth instead of traditional revenue-generating models or revenue-sharing models. Multimodal logistics hubs should be the islands of excellence, and we should avoid the cliche of global best practices for being a late imitator. After agriculture, logistics sector is the biggest generator of employment Hence, the government needs to factor this while framing the policy and while allocating the funds. We are unlikely to have in near future a more vital opportunity to make India a vibrant manufacturing base for global suppliers and global buyers. We can't miss on this opportunity.
On the eve of India's 74th Independence Day on 15th August, the country's leading maritime union, NUSI, has sought support of the Indian government to pursue various welfare measures for helping Indian seafarers. In a letter to the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, NUSI General Secretary Mr. Abdul Ghani Sarang requested the Indian government to amend the Seamen's Provident Fund Act for providing pension, annuity and gratuity to Indian seafarers. The NUSI letter also appeals for a priority traveller status to Indian seafarers during their rail and air journeys in the country and overseas. Also, NUSI has demanded that Indian seafarers be enabled to cast their votes in centre and state assembly elections through a proper electoral mechanism while on duty on board ships. Marex spoke to NUSI General Secretary Mr. Abdul Ghani Sarang.
History is repeating itself. It was in 1952 when the Employees Provident Fund Act was enacted and seafarers were kept out of the purview of the Provident Fund. This created a lot of resentment. It was discrimination against the seafarers and anger among the seafarers for being kept out of the Provident Fund, which resulted in 1963 an agitation under the banner of National Union of Seafarers of India. Many seafarers went from Mumbai Central Station to Delhi in the Janta Express in 1963 and agitated outside the Parliament, outside the Ministry of Shipping Office in 1963. That time Honorable Shri Raj Bahadur was a Minister of Shipping, and after interaction with him the system was set in place, and finally in 1966 the Seamen's Provident Fund Act was adopted in our Parliament, which was a historic moment. Now it is nearly 5.5 decades after that. History is repeating itself. Seafarers always had the Provident Fund, but the pension and the gratuity was not there for all ranks of seafarers, including the officers, both on the Indian and the foreign flag. So that is what we are demanding from the government, that seafarers should get pension, seafarers should get Provident Fund and also gratuity. And this should be available to all ranks of seafarers, whether ratings, petty officer, officers, and working on cargo ship, cruise ship, and whether on the Indian flag or foreign flag, all ranks of seafarers should get pension, Provident Fund and gratuity. Additionally, seafarers have been designated as essential workers, so we are demanding the seafarers should be in the priority list of travel, whether it is because they have to travel at a short notice to join the ship, to come during sign on and sign off. Any seafarer who is to want to travel, whether it is a bus, train or plane or ship, they have to be designated into the priority list and they should get preference over the others. This is a long pending demand. And we also want voting rights for seafarers. Seafarers, while they are ashore, they do vote in the election, whether the state election or the Lok Sabha election. But while they are on board the ship, whether in India or outside India, they cannot vote. We are demanding from the Election Commission, we are demanding from the Government of India that seafarers there should be some robust procedure wherein seafarers can also vote during the state election and the Lok Sabha election. The first list, and the petition is being sent to the Honorable Prime Minister. The first list of 25,000 seafarers will be collated. We want seafarers to come together. This is a historic moment. Be in that list of the first 25,000 seafarers, and we are getting a good response on a daily basis, not just from the ratings petty officer, but also from the officers, both on the Indian flag and the foreign flag, and most importantly, we're getting a good response from the family members of us. This is power. We need to do that. We need to agitate, and this petition is being sent to the Honorable Prime Minister, and the first list is being made of 25,000. So if you want to be in that first list, you better make the petition at the earliest, which is available on the NUSI website, NUSI Facebook page, my Twitter account at Abdul Ghani Sarang. You can do that. Make the petition and be part of history. It is being collated for present and the future generation. The first 25,000 people will remember these were the first 25,000 who wanted to get the social benefits, and they got it, they fought for it. These names will go into history. So I'm sure, let's see who comes in the first list of the first 25,000.
To reap the benefit of vast employment opportunities in the Indian maritime sector and with a view to certifying their skill sets, a memorandum of understanding was signed recently between the Ministry of Shipping and the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. As per the MOU, the Indian Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship will cooperate in the development of course curriculum, national occupational standards, content for cruise tourism, logistics, fisheries, shipbuilding, ship repair, ship breaking, dredging, offshore supply chains, etc.
When we look at seafarers, as you know, it's a very highly skilled profession where you cannot afford to make mistakes. And seafarers have to be constantly trained and they enhance their skills. Now, I understand that for a good skill, you do need some underpinning knowledge. Therefore, we have already in the maritime sector, at least in the seafaring profession, the government has already associated itself with development of several courses, training courses in accordance to the international standards. In fact, in most cases, it is well above the international standards. Now, the question is how well our seafarers are trained. So, this recent pandemic or the ongoing pandemic has opened up new ideas. And I think one of the most innovative ideas is more and more of the e-learning platform where the underpinning knowledge can be easily imparted to the large section of these young aspiring candidates for the seafaring sector. But however, skill is a very important aspect which needs to be constantly upgraded and available to the youngsters all over the country. Therefore, there is a place for institutes to develop and continue with skill development. But they can have more emphasis on skill development, whereas the training, knowledge can be acquired to a large extent through e-learning platform where there is a galaxy of very good teachers who can impart knowledge to candidates at all levels. So this is my understanding of how we can take it further in the next decade or so. Regarding the other aspect of training of persons skilled in ship repair, shipbuilding, and this sort of work, you know, industry, the shipbuilding industry is not not at all compared to the other Asian countries where there is a large amount of shipbuilding. So our skill sets, although we may have the skill sets, but the job opportunities, I'm not sure how many job opportunities we have in this sector. So what the government can do is to associate itself with make a sort of a very dynamic effort is needed to bring shipbuilding in the fore. If you bring shipbuilding, and I understand shipbuilding is the mother of all industries, we have a lot of skill sets available. Youngsters are available who can do normal work of a tradesman which is required for shipbuilding. So therefore, if we encourage more of this, the people who are already trained, technicians, welders, machinists, and so on, and they can be very well amalgamated to the requirements of a shipbuilding industry. So if it's a coordinated effort by the Ministry of Skill Development, the Ministry of Shipping, and the Ministry of Industry, I think it will go a long way in developing our skill sets, because skill has to have underpinning knowledge. So combined with the e-learning platforms, the availability of the institutes, and the determined efforts of the government, I'm sure this will be a very positive step and a very rewarding step for the country to develop skills, enhance skills of youngsters for the next decade in shipping and shipbuilding industry.
The MOU signed between Ministry of Shipping and Ministry of Skill Development is an excellent initiative by the government to develop India into a skill capital of the world. Over 90% of the world trade is carried by over 50,000 ships, employing about 1.5 million seafarers with just 10% share of Indian seafarers. Moreover, India has nearly 200 ports and a large coastline. Shipping and port sector combined has huge potential for job creation. In addition, India has God-gifted geography for development of blue economy, that is shipping, transport, shipbuilding, fishing, marine minerals, oil and gas, wave and tide energy, etc. Sagamala project is creating paradigm shift from stand-alone development of shipping and ports to a port-led development. The development of human resource is must for creation and growth of such an ecosystem. There is need to create human resource pool with basic skills who can be upskilled for different clusters in shipbuilding, shipping, fishing, offshore and ports. For example, in shipping, we have inland vessels, river sea vessels, coastal vessels and foreign vessels. Career pathways for mobility among these sectors exist, but structured framework for training and recognition was a gap that the said MOU will be able to establish. Similarly, in port sector, there is career mobility for port equipment handler from handling a forklift to a reach stacker to a gantry crane. This mobility requires skilling and upskilling and training and certification, and most important, changes in recruitment rules of the port for such jobs. I am sure that these gaps will be successfully fulfilled by the MOU signed. Thank you.
Singapore-based ship manager Synergy Group and Danish shipowner DS Norden have formed an equal joint venture to handle the technical management of the Norden fleet. This newly formed 50-50 joint venture, named Norden Synergy Ship Management, will be headed by Mr. Henrik Christensen, who previously managed Norden's technical department. The joint venture will take advantage of Synergy's new generation digital ship offering, Smart Ship Platform, which enables improvement of vessels and fleet efficiency by bringing cutting-edge computing to the high seas.
Norden is a quality, historic and renowned shipping brand with an organization that truly lives up to its motto, Smarter Global Trade. We have seen great alignment when we partnered previously, and we expect that to lead to more mutual wins in the future through NSSM. Culturally, the teams have much in common, and that to me is the key to this partnership.
The Director General of Shipping, Shri Amitabh Kumar, IRS, and Mrs. Malini Shankar, Vice Chancellor of the Indian Maritime University, has been honoured by the Nautical Institute. Mr. Kumar has won the NI accolades for his and the DGS team's contribution in keeping shipping up and running during the pandemic. Mrs. Shankar wins plaudits for fully digitalizing during her time the services of DGS, which have made the transition of the industry to the current pandemic so much easier.
We are fortunate that the industry that we belong to, the shipping industry, is one that is keeping this world alive and kicking even during this pandemic. And the contribution of those seafarers who keeps those ships running at sea. But like any industry, the shipping industry also has been affected largely during this pandemic. Many of its operations were affected during this pandemic. But we have had the DG Shipping and the National Shipping Board coming out with various SOPs and circulars which helped the cause of the Indian shipping industry as well as the seafarers. So the Nautical Institute London with its India Southwest branch has been running a campaign appreciating organizations and individuals who have contributed during this pandemic in keeping this shipping industry alive and kicking. The Director General of Shipping, Sri Amitabh Kumar IRS, and Mrs. Malini Shankar, Vice Chancellor of the Indian Maritime University, have been honored by the Nautical Institute. Sri Amitabh Kumar has won the Nautical Institute accolades for his and Team DG's contribution in keeping shipping up and running during this pandemic. Dr. Malini Shankar wins plaudits for fully digitalizing during her time at the service of the DGS, which has made this transition of this industry through this current pandemic so much easier. Today the DG Shipping is digitalized the issuance of the e-pass, online training, conduct of exit examinations, etc., which has helped the seafarers as well as the Indian shipping industry to keep moving even during this pandemic. So the Nautical Institute is happy to award the certificate of appreciation to Sri Amitabh Kumar DGS and to Dr. Malini Shankar, the Vice Chancellor of the Indian Maritime University.
Captain Joseph Francis Coutinho passed away recently in Doha, Qatar. A long-time Doha resident, Joseph, aged 58, passed away due to cardiac arrest last Wednesday. He leaves behind his wife Sharon and their children Jonathan, Nikita and Annika. Coutinho was working as the CEO of Qatar Shipping Company and has been at the forefront of several charity activities in the country. He was also very active in social work and an ardent supporter of the Indian Community Benevolent Fund. We offer our condolences to the family. Seafarers, at the core of shipping's future. This phrase has been selected as the World Maritime theme for 2021, reflecting a clear need to raise awareness of seafarers' vital role in world trade and increase their visibility. The focus on seafarers comes as the COVID-19 pandemic has placed extraordinary and unprecedented demands on seafarers. Hundreds of thousands faced and are still facing extended sea times, going months at sea without seeing families and loved ones. The crew change crisis in 2020 has highlighted seafarers' exceptional contribution as key and essential workers on the front line of delivering world trade through a pandemic as well as in ordinary times. Japan's Class NK has issued an approval in principle for a wind kite system under development by K-Line and France's Airseas SAS. Granted under Class NK's Wind Assisted Propulsion Systems guidelines, the system, which is known as Sea-Wing, is a concept design that converts wind energy into propulsive force. K-Line had announced in June 2019 that it was working with Airseas to develop the concept for a test installation on one of the line's large bulk carriers. A new survey conducted by BIMCO shows that many ship owners are experiencing serious problems with new very low sulfur fuel formulations. Between February and May this year, the shipping associations BIMCO, Intercargo and Intertanko sent out a survey about the quality of these new VLFSO blends to shoreside technical staff at all of their member companies. The issues that the respondents highlighted were significant. Fully 86% reported some amount of experience with off-spec or poorly performing fuel. Nearly 2/3 reported experience with sludge formation, a challenging problem that can clog fuel lines and filters, and a third reported problems with wax formation. About 20% reported that they had encountered fuel so problematic that it had to be debunkered.
Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for watching this news bulletin. See you all next Monday.